Pushing the reset button, a hot debriefing curriculum. I'm Megan Gillespie, a fifth-year combined emergency and family medicine resident at Jefferson Health Northeast in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm excited to be joining you today at CORD's Virtually Unstoppable Academic Assembly 2021 to present to you my CORD Mini Fellowship in Wellness Leadership project from this past year. It can sometimes be difficult for emergency medicine providers to reset emotionally after intense critical incidents and resume their routine clinical responsibilities. As frontline workers, we're often faced with critical incidents such as cardiopulmonary arrest, severe traumatic injuries, and pediatric resuscitation, just for some examples. It has been noted that repeat exposures to critical incidents can cause things like compassion fatigue, second victim syndrome, and burnout. All things that we're looking to avoid so that we can continue to enjoy our career that we picked in the acute care setting, as well as provide the best patient care that we can. And while medical school has provided all the knowledge foundation and residency has given us all the training to clinically apply that knowledge foundation, I've experienced firsthand and also through a review of the literature that there's not any formal curriculum on how to best manage yourself and your team immediately after these critical incidents. And that's exactly what my developed R.E.S.E.T curriculum is intended to address. First, let's talk about what hot debriefing is. Debriefing is defined as a facilitated reflective participant discussion to analyze events in a supportive group setting. We're going to focus on hot debriefing. Hot debriefing is defined as occurring minutes to hours after the critical incident, having all team members directly involved in the patient care or critical incident available to participate, and short in duration, ideally less than 10 minutes, which is why it makes it feasible to incorporate into our daily emergency medicine practice. So, what are some of the benefits that hot debriefing provides? Well, it provides opportunities to learn as well as improve operational policies. It improves patient outcomes. Hot debriefing can increase team dynamics and morale, and it can provide some stress relief from these repeat exposures to critical incidents. Review of the literature shows that only less than or equal to 25% of resuscitations are currently debriefed. When I reflect on my own practice habits, I think it's even less. And this got me thinking, why? Why so few? Let's go over some of the barriers to hot debriefing. There are operational pressures to resume routine clinical responsibilities. There's limitations on participant availability. There's a culture of clinicians that being vulnerable and discussing emotions with colleagues can be perceived as a weakness. There's a lack of standardized hot debriefing procedures. And one of the most commonly cited barriers for hot debriefing implementation is insufficient training in how to be an effective and efficient hot debriefing facilitator. And that's what we're going to focus on today with the R.E.S.E.T curriculum. Let's go ahead and dive into what the R.E.S.E.T mnemonic stands for. R stands for recognizing the critical incident. E, emotional self-awareness. S, self-debrief. E, empathy towards others' emotions. And finally, T for team hot debrief. Let's break down the R.E.S.E.T mnemonic letter by letter. First, recognize and acknowledge critical incidents. As we mentioned earlier, critical incidents can include cardiopulmonary arrest, severe traumatic injuries, or pediatric resuscitations, just as a couple of examples. Moving into the bulk of the R.E.S.E.T mnemonic, let's further understand what the letters here mean. Why do we need emotional self-awareness, self-debriefing, and empathy towards others in order to be an effective and efficient hot debriefing leader? Well, the R.E.S.E.T mnemonic was based on two main frameworks: Goleman's emotional intelligence theory and Mitchell's 7-step model for critical incident stress debriefing. Let's review Goleman's emotional intelligence theory. When you read on how to be an exceptional leader, emotional intelligence frequently comes up. Emotional intelligence, or the key to exceptional leadership, is defined as the ability to understand, use, and manage your own emotions in a positive way to relieve stress, communicate effectively, empathize with others, overcome challenges, and diffuse conflict. It is based on the 4 domains of self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. You can read more about emotional intelligence in Dr. Goleman's book, but let's look at some of the benefits in being in tune with your emotional intelligence or working to improve it. You will have increased leadership ability, increased personal well-being, increased team performance, improved decision-making, and decreased occupational stress. Emotional intelligence is one of the frameworks that provided some of those middle letters of the R.E.S.E.T mnemonic that stand for emotional self-awareness, self-debrief, and empathy towards others' emotions. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the second framework that went into the basis of the R.E.S.E.T mnemonic for being an efficient and effective hot debriefing leader, Mitchell's 7-step model for critical incident stress debriefing. Jeffrey T. Mitchell developed the 7-step model for critical incident stress debriefing back in 1983, actually, while he was working as a firefighter and paramedic. Critical incident stress debriefing consists of a 7-step debriefing process that is facilitated by a trained person within 24 hours to a couple weeks after the critical incident. The main goals of critical incident stress debriefing are to mitigate any detrimental effects, facilitate a normal recovery process in persons who are otherwise mentally healthy, and screen for those who might need additional support or assistance. Looking at this graphic representation of these 7 steps in critical incident stress debriefing really highlights the fact that you need to be empathetic towards others' emotions, which is a critical part of the R.E.S.E.T mnemonic. That leaves us with only one letter left of the R.E.S.E.T mnemonic, T, for Team Hot Debrief. Stop for 5 minutes is a hot debriefing tool that was created by Dr. Craig Walker, Laura McGregor, Cameron Taylor, and Sarah Robinson at the Emergency Department of the Royal Infirmary of Edinburgh and the Scottish Centre for Simulation and Clinical Human Factors. This hot debriefing tool provides a script and prompts providers to stop for 5 minutes after a critical incident to perform a hot debrief. With permission, the Stop 5 hot debriefing tool maintained the content created entirely by Dr. Craig Walker et al., and just the colors of the poster were changed with the addition of the R.E.S.E.T mnemonic and a QR code to facilitate ease of recording hot debriefings in our emergency department. ID badges and posters with the R.E.S.E.T mnemonic and Stop 5 hot debriefing tool were placed in our department to encourage further incorporating hot debriefing regularly in our daily practice habits. The QR code on these posters and ID badges can be scanned, bringing up a website where the debriefings can be easily recorded. I really recommend reviewing the paper published by Dr. Craig Walker et al. Entitled Stop 5, a hot debrief model for resuscitation cases in the emergency department for more information on this great hot debriefing tool. With that, this concludes my presentation on the R.E.S.E.T mnemonic hot debriefing curriculum. Next time you find yourself in the aftermath of an emotionally intense critical incident, I want you to take a moment to pause and reset. Recognize the critical incident, have emotional self-awareness, perform a quick self-debrief, have empathy towards others' emotions, and then go ahead and lead a team hot debrief. I hope you enjoyed this hot debriefing curriculum. Before I show you my credits, I would just like to give a major shout out and thank you to Dr. Raman Tabatabai, Dr. Muhammad Musa, and Dr. Adam Kellogg, who were my mentors and helped make this project possible throughout the past year. I'd really like to thank Dr. Christine Strayham and Dr. L.A. Alvarez for leading the CORD Mini Fellowship in Wellness Leadership. And finally to CORD, thank you for the opportunity to continue to pursue opportunities to champion wellness in emergency medicine. Thank you all very much for your time and attention, and I hope that you enjoyed this.